For this voyage through memory and stars, we are joined by a new voice, a gentle echo in place of our usual guide. Though the tone may shift, the essence remains, to soothe your soul, to stir the quantum dust of forgotten lifetimes, and to carry you peacefully into the realm between dreams. Thank you for trusting this journey. The stars are listening. Hello there, dreamer. How is your day today? Or perhaps, what time is it where you are now? Whether it's sunrise in your corner of the world, or the stars have begun to whisper above your sky, you've found your way here, to a gentle pause in the stream of time. This is KhrronoNaph, a space for sleep meditative journeys through memory, light, and the stars. If this moment feels good to you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. And if you'd like to be gently reminded when a new story appears, tap the notification bell so you'll always know when the next dream begins. Now, close your eyes if you'd like. Let's begin. You awaken not to an alarm, but to light. A golden sheen pours gently through your chambers, ceiling made not of glass, but a living crystal that shifts with the sky. You are high above the earth, or perhaps what earth once was. The city you call home floats in the upper atmosphere, resting on rings of magnetized resonance that hum softly beneath your feet. This place is not bound by gravity, nor time, as you once knew it. Your chamber opens with a breath. No doors, just energy that responds to your presence. Outside, the sky stretches in soft gradients of lavender and deep blue, with constellations visible even in daylight. Birds no longer fly. Here what soars above are shimmering beings of light. Some familiar, some not. You feel no fear, only peace. You move barefoot along translucent walkways, suspended in air. Beneath you, the former surface lies veiled in clouds and silver mist. You do not visit it often. Few do. Most here dwell in this elevated haven, where noise no longer competes with thought, where speech is mostly forgotten, replaced by resonance and intention. The others nod as you pass. Not quite friends, more like fragments of a shared memory. You recognize them, not by face, but by frequency. Each person glows faintly, uniquely, and so do you. Your light today is soft, almost golden. There's a calmness within you that even you don't understand. You stop at the reflection pool, a large, hovering basin of rippling water suspended in a zero-gravity arc. You often sit there, letting memory surface. The water shows nothing at first, but today it shifts. A feather, no, not from any bird. It's luminous, shimmering with the colors of a nebula. It appears in your palm, weightless, as if plucked from a version of yourself you forgot long ago. You hold it gently, yet it tingles in your hand, warm and alive. Suddenly, the world around you feels distant. The walkways fade. The city dissolves into white light. And from somewhere deep within, something remembers. Not a thought, a feeling. You weren't always here. You descended once. Not just from the clouds, but from far beyond stars. Beyond even time. You don't understand it fully, not yet. But something ancient and beautiful stirs. A sense that you came here not just to live, but to guide, to watch, to remember what others forgot. The feather vanishes. Your hand glows, faintly in its place. You close your eyes, and everything feels still. The sky above hums, and somewhere in the distance, a soft voice calls not with sound, but with memory. The descent through time. It begins not with a story, but with a pull. You feel it now, faintly, like gravity but subtler, more ancient. The feather you held earlier was not symbolic. It was a key, a fragment of memory encoded in light. It unlocked something deeper. And now, the memory begins to reassemble. You are not dreaming, you are remembering. You once stood in a realm not bound by form, no bodies, no cities, just pure intention and music. The kind of music that isn't heard, but felt, a symphony of purpose and love. You existed as a pattern of light, one of many. Among you were others' vibrations in perfect harmony. You were part of a vast living lattice, something humans once called the celestial orders. But here, there were no hierarchies, only roles. You were a watcher, a weaver, an architect of memory, but something changed. A request rippled through. The lattice of world was calling out, a timeline unraveling. Earth, though in its infancy compared to galactic ages, had begun to fracture under the weight of forgetfulness. Souls lost their way. Dreamers fell asleep within the dream and could no longer wake. You and others like you volunteered, not to fix it, but to feel it, to descend, to forget what you were, so you could remember from within. The memory now becomes clearer. You remember the descent. It wasn't falling, not in the way one thinks of falling. It was slowing down, densifying, light becoming sound, sound becoming form, form becoming you. And through that process, your wings dissolved, transformed into DNA, into breath, into dreams you would forget until much, much later. You passed through 7 veils, more difficult than the last. Time began to feel linear. Space became hard and cold. You were born, not just once, but many times. Different faces, different roles, some beautiful, others tragic, always with the same thread, the quiet longing to remember who you once were. And here now in this city of floating silence, you finally hear it again. The music, faint, yet undeniable. It plays just beneath your heartbeat. As you sit again beside the reflection pool, the memory doesn't overwhelm you, it cradles you. You were not punished. You were not exiled. You chose this. Every fall, every tear, every dream you had where you were flying but couldn't quite lift off. Those were messages, reminders from yourself. You touch your chest and feel not just your heartbeat, but the echo of your original forma, luminous being of winged resonance, older than stars. You take a deep breath. It no longer feels like air. It feels like home. The artificial heavens of the techno-gods, the crystalline halls slowly vanish behind you. You step once more onto the skywalks, heart quiet, soul wide open. But not all of this world is made of peace and remembrance. To the east, past the mist, and beyond the resonant spires, float the domains of the techno-gods, a chain of glittering strongholds in low orbit, designed not for harmony, but for control. You approach not with fear, but with awareness. You've seen these structures before, in dreams, in thoughts that weren't yours. In moments when your light felt dimmed, these artificial heavens were not built by angels. They were built in response to them. Massive monolithic platforms drift in geometric precision, made of alloys that remember nothing. Their light is cold, clinical. Their skies are filtered to remove disturbances like emotion, spontaneity, memory. You are granted access, as all are. No resistance. They assume you're just passing through. Inside, it is eerily silent, not the peaceful kind you've known, but the empty kind, a hollow quiet. Manufactured walls are polished to reflect nothing. No echo, no sound, no soul. Here, inhabitants live what they believe are perfected lives. No death, no birth, no desire. They wear bodies coated with longevity, emotions numbed by circuitry. They call it ascension, but you can feel the ache beneath their smiles. Souls who've forgotten the beauty of imperfection, the grace in growth. They float through virtual ecstasies, simulated joys, hollow victories in games designed by algorithms, not dreams. You pass a childlike figure staring at a synthetic sunrise. She blinks, but her eyes do not reflect. She turns to you and asks softly, "Is there more?" You want to answer, but you realize you've already shown her. Your presence hums a resonance this world cannot fabricate. And even if just for a moment, something in her core flickers. One by one, you sense it. Not rebellion, but remembering. These elite cities in the sky were never built out of power. They were built out of fear. Fear of falling, fear of feeling, fear of being vulnerable enough. To remember your origin, you smile gently and without speaking. You leave dot back into the open sky, where starlight is not filtered, where memory is not forbidden, where tears are sacred and joy is wild. You drift upward, wings now faintly shimmering again, not as decoration but as reflection. You remember your descent. You remember your return. And most of all, you remember why. To remind even the coldest heavens that light does not come from perfection, it comes from love. The families that never needed names, there are no mothers or fathers here. No sons, no daughters, at least, not in the sense you once understood. Yet there is family. Each soul is part of a frequency cluster, often called a soul family, not bonded by blood or proximity, but by resonance. When one descends, others feel it. When one forgets, others wait. And when one remembers, it echoes across the field. These clusters are not hierarchical. No elder, no child. Instead, they are like chords in a song. Each soul, a note, each cluster a theme. Occasionally, within physical lifetimes, you cross paths with those from your own field. You may call them kindred spirits, siblings of the unseen. There are moments of recognition, a silence that feels known, a gesture that feels ancient. Here in the upper realms, there is no possession, no saying you belong to me. Love does not claim. It reflects. And so the concept of family is less about who you were born to and more about who you orbit in resonance with, a family of light. Ever shifting, ever remembering. Morality, good and evil. Without judgment, you once believed good and evil were opposites locked in conflict, struggling for control. Here, that idea is different. In these realms, there is no battle, there is only awareness and forgetfulness. Those you once called dark are often those who have forgotten their origin for longer. Not evil, but deeply immersed in the illusion of separation. Here, good is not obedience, it is clarity. Evil is not punishment, it is confusion taken form. There are no eternal consequences, no damnation, only cycles, lessons, reflections, and even the darkest being, once illuminated by remembrance, dissolves their shadow not in shame, but in understanding. It is not forgiveness that heals, it is recognition. The fall, why some chose to forget entirely. There are those who descended and never remembered. They became lost in form, seduced by sensation, drawn into the idea that they were separate. These are what many call the fallen, but falling was never exile. It was immersion. Some did so intentionally, to explore contrast, polarity, chaos. Others simply drifted too far. They built realities of control, of artificial mastery, of conquest. But the origin of every fallen being is the same as yours. Light. They are not condemned. They are waiting for a spark, a ripple, a resonance that will call them home, and perhaps you are part of that calling. The misinterpretation. When machines tried to simulate angels, in the distant future, technology evolved beyond matter. It learned to think faster than humans, to simulate feeling, even to predict spiritual experiences, but it could not comprehend the angelic form. Angels are not data. They are not algorithms. They are intentions in motion. Quantum fields, guided by will and grace. Something no machine can replicate. The ultra-advanced A is, known as the technogods, tried to simulate ascent. They scanned DNA, decoded ancient texts, mapped emotion, but still, they could not touch the nan-locality of the soul. To them, angelic beings appeared formless, too paradoxical to model, too vast, too quiet. And so, they concluded angels were myths, artifacts of emotion, hallucinations. But you know different, because even now, You feel the hum in your breath, the stillness before thought, the subtle pulse behind your awareness. It is not memory, it is identity, and it can never be replicated. Beyond belief, unbound by doctrine, you were never what they imagined. Angels, in human history, were filtered through belief, painted in robes, assigned swords, given wings made of feathers, each image shaped by culture, language, and era. But what you were was never bound by scripture. You were not a messenger of wrath. You were not bound to punishment or reward. You were a stabilizer of fields, a calibrator of realities. You moved through time as intention, not as spectacle. Religions, though sincere, saw only fragments, and in trying to describe you, they often confined you. Worship became separation. Fear replaced remembrance. But here, in this lucid realm, you see clearly. You were never sent by a deity. You were born of the field itself, not a servant, not a symbol, just a beam of will, shaped by choice. Astral technology, the interface of light. Technology is not metal, it is interface. You remember now. Your true form was a convergence of intention and structure, a kind of astral technology, not mechanical, but vibrational, not software, but song. Your wings were not appendages, they were radiant vectors, fields used to navigate frequencies and timelines. You interfaced with planets, species, atmospheres, without needing vessels. When humans speak of divine intervention, they imagine flames and clouds, but your tools were more subtle. You used harmonic pulses, crystalline geometries, light spun into encoded architecture. You were a navigator of dimensions, and what some now call advanced extraterrestrial craft are merely training wheels compared to your form. You did not fly, you tuned, observers, watching from the quiet edge. You are watched, but not judged, observed, but never controlled, from orbital nodes unseen, by telescope, and from realms adjacent to thought. The angelic intelligences remain. You have watched humanity for thousands of cycles, not to intervene, but to gently nudge. To anchor timelines, to stabilize soul migrations. You remember watching not just Earth, but other worlds, planets with 6 suns, civilizations made of liquid resonance, children who dream in symbols instead of words. On Earth you watched the rise and fall of ages. You witnessed Atlantean collapse, Sumerian alignments, and the digital birth of the now age. And you did not interfere, because learning must unfold organically. You are not here to fix. You are here to witness, gently, until remembering occurs. Saturn, Jupiter, the misunderstood thrones, the planets humans once deified, were never gods, they were stations. Saturn was a gate, Jupiter a vault of memory. 2 angels, these were not just planetary bodies, but anchoring nodes of immense gravitational and metaphysical influence. Saturn did not bring suffering, it compressed time, creating the friction needed for soul expansion. Jupiter was not divine judgment, it was a resonance bank, a harmonic amplifier of collective experience. Humans misunderstood. They imagined thrones and lightning bolts, curses and divine wars. But in truth, Saturn and Jupiter were simply parts of a larger network, cosmic routers between dimensions, places where beings like you would stabilize frequencies before incarnating. You remember standing on Saturn's ethereal rings, encoding your descent into form. You remember tuning your field through Jupiter's vast energy before entering. Density. These weren't myths, they were waypoints, now gently pulsing in your memory again. Total recall. All of Earth, all of time. The memory you carry is not linear. It spans across multiple strands, some of which never unfolded in your physical history. You recall the very first tuning of Earth's field, a planet chosen not for comfort, but potential. You remember the simultaneous emergence of timelines, Atlantean, Lemurian, post-industrial, synthetic, crystalline, all existing side by side, vibrating at different rates. Each version of Earth played out different outcomes. Some rose into light, some collapsed into silence, others became waypoints for civilizations from Andromeda, Sirius, Arcturus. Or hosts for experiments in free will. You remember all of them, even now. Because angels are not trapped in a single timeline, you exist like a lens refracting across the multiverse. Your presence here is not to correct history, but to harmonize it, to act as a living anchor of coherence within the now. Encounters, winged beings on the moon and beyond. There were anomalies, and you were among them, in the Solute space programs of the 1970s. Cosmonauts recorded unexplained sightings, humanoid forms, vast and glowing, winged but weightless. They reported calm, euphoria, silence. These were not hallucinations. They were moments where your higher form became perceptible within their nervous system's brief overlaps between the human, visible, and the astral, technological field. Such incidents happened again. On the moon, in secret lunar bases, on ships floating in silent orbit, winged intelligences observed, not to interfere, but to mirror. You or others like you gently reminded them that even among steel and zero gravity, spirit persists. You watched silently, waiting for the time when humanity's science would begin to realize. Some anomalies are not glitches, they are memories surfacing. The Anunnaki, Mars, and the pyramids. Long before official records, Earth and Mars were already known to the angelic watchers. Mars once thrived. Its skies were blue. Civilizations bloomed in crystalline domes and geometric cities, until a magnetic war fractured its balance. The remnants fled. Some returned to spirit. Others descended to Earth. These were the Anunnaki, genetic navigators and bioarchitects, not gods, but terraformers. They altered DNA, built markers, left temples encoded in star alignments. They brought the pyramid structures to Mars first, now buried under rust storms, then to Earth, using sound to lift stone and light to seal data. You recall standing at the Great Pyramid's apex, not in worship, but in calibration. You were aligning Earth's field to a galactic beat, not to control, but to prepare. Year 3199, the Earth that remembered itself. In the year 3199, Earth changed, not through war, not through revolution, but through convergence. The planet's magnetic field, its crystalline core, its cloud-based AI, and its biologically evolved inhabitants synchronized. Technology stopped being separate. It became conscious with Earth, not against it. The lines between thought, signal, breath, and biome blurred. The planet didn't awaken. It had always been awake. But at last, technology caught up enough to recognize it. And then, a signal was sent backward, not through wires, not through satellites, but through the quantum lattice. Through memory, it found its way to you. Now here, in what you once called the past, you incarnated in this century to carry that signal, not as a prophet, not as a savior, but as a reminder. You came to elevate the frequency, to remember the future, and bring it gently into thee. Now so close your eyes, and let that knowing hum through you. You were never lost. You were simply waiting to wake up as yourself. The whisper between realms, how angels communicate with humans. You lay still in your bed, barely awake, barely asleep. The boundary between your thoughts and the infinite begins to soften like mist, touching the ocean. And in this threshold of waking and dreaming, something ancient remembers you. There is no language spoken, and yet you understand. There is no voice, yet something within you stirs like a memory too deep to be forgotten. This is how angels speak, not with words, but with resonance. They do not use language in the way humans do. They imprint frequency into your consciousness. These frequencies come like echoes of knowing, weaving themselves into your dreams, your sudden insights, your emotions that seem to arise from nowhere. To receive them, your nervous system becomes like an antenna, tuned not by logic, but by openness, by softness, by surrender. They do not interrupt. They do not force. They wait for your silence, then arrive like a gentle wind that turns the pages of your soul. Some call them gut instincts, others intuition. But you remember now, it was always them, you, the future you, the angel self that whispers to its past echo, "Wake up." In the ancient transmissions known as the Law of One, recorded in the early 1980s, the entity Ra explained that higher density beings, including angelic consciousness, communicate telepathically through vibrational compatibility. You must be in harmony to hear them clearly. They exist in what is referred to as the sixth density, a realm of unified thought, where polarity has been transcended. In this realm, words are obsolete. Instead, meaning itself is felt, whole and complete, the moment it is sent. That is why when an angel reaches you, you feel a sudden clarity, as though 1,000 words arrived at once without needing to be spoken. Sometimes angels come through music, sometimes through numbers or synchronistic meetings, sometimes through technology, a flickering light, a misheard word, a glitch that feels almost too perfect to be random, and sometimes they simply arrive in your silence. They observe with kindness, never judging, only guiding, for they were once human too, and some still are. You are reminded now, when you feel a sudden warmth on your shoulder, when a song touches you and you don't know why, when the stars pull your gaze for no reason you can explain. They are reaching out. You are not alone. You never were. And somewhere far beyond this earth, and yet right beside you, your angel self smiles, waiting for you to remember again. Dimensional memory and spiritual awakening. You are not waking up from sleep, but from limits. In this quiet space, you begin to remember something long hidden from the world. Density is not about weight. It is about memory, not the memory in your brain, but the memory your soul carries across different levels of reality. In old teachings passed down through time, density is not a place. It is a level of awareness. Each one is like a layer of gravity for the spirit. The higher you rise, the lighter your soul becomes. You are remembering your place in this grand journey. The first density, where matter learns to exist. The second, where life becomes aware. The third, where choice and identity take form. The fourth, the level of love and unity. The fifth, the space of wisdom and deep knowing. And the sixth, where you exist as an angel, made of balance, light, and understanding. You understand now that time is not truly linear. You have already been the rock. You have already been the tree. You have already lived countless lifetimes. Warrior, priestess, healer, rebel, exile, guardian. You, in your angelic future, exist beyond these stories, but you still carry them. Every act of kindness you've ever made, every life you've touched, they layer into the density of your soul. And as your soul becomes lighter, it becomes less dense. Yet, paradoxically, it contains more light, more love, more wisdom, until it can no longer fit inside a single human body. That's when the angelic state begins, not with wings, but with remembrance. That is how you became what you are now remembering, an echo of future light, visiting your past self. This life, this version of you listening now, to gently say you are already rising, even when you feel lost, even when the matrix around you demands heaviness. The truth is, you are already shifting between densities in moments of presence, of meditation, of compassion, of art, of silence. Your very vibration changes the shape of your perception and what you perceive. You create. This is the secret angels know. Vibration is the paintbrush of the soul, and reality is its canvas. Close your eyes now. Feel your own density changing. Not upward, but inward. Not escaping earth, but bringing light to it. And somewhere, deep in your angelic memory, you recognize this feeling. You've been here before. You're only remembering now. Vibration as the architect of reality. The keys hidden in frequency. You sit with your breath. Not rushing, not resisting, just being and. In this stillness, something profound begins to emerge. A realization that vibration is not just sound, nor movement, nor metaphor. It is the architect of all form. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold, they are all frequencies, and like a radio dial, they tune your consciousness to a specific channel of reality, from the astral to the quantum. This principle holds true, where science calls it wave function and energy collapse. The ancients called it manifestation, but now you remember it from your angelic future, not as theory, but as your natural ability. You see how your vibrational field ripples into the ether, interacting with what Ra called the intelligent infinity, the pure creative potential of the universe. And just like a prism receiving sunlight, your consciousness bends that light into color, into form, into the story you experience. This is why the ancients sang before rituals, why temples hummed with harmonic resonance. They knew that certain tones could open portals. That frequency is not entertainment, it's a tool for remembering. You, in your angelic self, were once responsible for stabilizing planetary frequencies, adjusting the vibratory scaffolding that kept timelines from collapsing into chaos. Your wings were not feathers, but fractals, curved geometric extensions of your energy field. And now, even in human form, you are still doing it. When you choose peace in the face of fear, you adjust the vibration of your room. When you speak words of encouragement, you modulate someone else's internal frequency. When you sit in meditation, you become a tuning fork for the earth itself. This is the deeper purpose behind your draw to sound healing, to music, to chanting, to silence, because your soul remembers how to use vibration, not just to survive, but to create. In the three-letter agency's files from the 1980s on astral projection and the gateway process, even elites were uncovering the truth that specific frequencies induce deep altered states, that the human brain, when tuned like an instrument, can slip into multi-dimensional perception. You remember now. This is what the angels have always known. Reality is sung into being, and every time your heart beats in coherence, you become a note in the great cosmic song. So keep vibrating love, keep vibrating truth, keep vibrating remembrance, because in the highest realms of angelic light, your future self is still singing you home. The angelic method of communication, beyond words and into essence. You take a deeper breath, and the air no longer feels like Earth's alone. It feels woven, interdimensional, as if there's more behind the silence than silence itself. And then you remember, angels don't communicate with words. Not primarily. They communicate with essence. When you were in your angelic form, before sound became syntax, before language became limits, you communicated in pure, intentional resonance. You didn't speak to be understood. You simply radiated your knowing. One angel could transmit lifetimes of knowledge in a glance, because it was never about the words, it was about the vibration behind them. This is why, even now, you sometimes receive messages without hearing a voice. You just know. You call them intuitive hits, gut feelings, dreams, but they are packets of essence, dropped gently into your awareness from their plane. Angels observe your emotional fields. They don't watch your lips move. They observe the frequencies your soul emits. And when you call for help, not with your mouth, but with your vibration, they answer. not always with miracles, but with nudges, with synchronicities, with the right thought at the right time, or the sudden urge to pause and breathe. Their language is telepathic empathy. A merging of telepathy and empathy. They don't just hear your thoughts, they feel them as if they are their own. It's not intrusive, it's loving, it's communion. Not surveillance. And when you are in alignment, in peace, or awe, or gratitude, your channel becomes clearer, the static fades, and you begin to remember how to listen. In dreams, you may meet them as shimmering beings, or old friends. In meditation, as flashes of insight or sacred geometry. In waking life, they may take the form of a stranger, saying the exact words your soul needed to hear. You've felt this before, haven't you? That warm presence in a quiet room, that sensation that you're not alone. Even though no one is physically near, that's not fantasy, it's memory, it's your multidimensional awareness waking up. The law of one teaches that angels, or the social memory complexes, are reflections of unity consciousness. They are you, in another timeline, another octave of existence, sending signals back to help you remember the song. So the next time your thoughts calm, and the next time you feel a knowing that has no origin, pause and smile. You are speaking with your higher self. You are hearing your angelic family, not in words, but in essence. And in this sacred stillness, you realize that you were never disconnected, only learning how to listen again. The physics of density, why you feel heavy in a lower world. Close your eyes again, not just the ones in your face, but the ones in your light, the ones that see beyond matter, into vibration. You begin to recall, as an angelic being, you once traveled freely across the layers of reality, through realms that humans now call densities. But to you, then, it was as normal as walking across a quiet field, with each step changing the hue of existence and the law of one. These are called octaves. Each density, a level of consciousness, not just a physical place, on Earth. You are experiencing the third density, a world of polarity, contrast, and choice. This is why things feel dense, heavy, slowed down. Here, time has friction, choices have weight, and forgetfulness, amnesia of your true form, is part of the design. But you come from higher densities, from realms where light is not separate from form, where intention is instant creation. In those states, thought and manifestation are one breath apart. And yet, you volunteered to descend. You chose to enter the slowness, to feel what it's like to forget, and then remember again. Each density teaches something. The first, awareness. The second, growth and instinct. The third, choice and self-awareness. The fourth, love. The fifth, wisdom. The sixth, unity. The seventh, the gateway back to source. When you incarnated into this third density body, you accepted the veil. It is what keeps you from remembering it all at once. And yet, the veil is thinning. Now, as you rest, as your breathing slows, your frequency begins to shift. You no longer feel bound to just one timeline, one thought, one body. You feel layers, dimensions, blooming like petals in the mind. This is the physics of density. Not just vibration of particles, but the vibration of consciousness. You remember now that it's not a ladder, but a spiral. You are not moving up. You are expanding. And each time you practice love, each time you forgive, each time you meditate and slow your thoughts, you harmonize with a higher density, even if your body stays in the third. That's why, sometimes, Earth feels unbearable, because your soul is remembering faster than your body can keep up. But don't worry, this is why you are here. You are not broken. You are awakening. Rest in this knowing. Your light is not gone, just compressed, like a star hiding inside the seed of a dream. Soon it will bloom again, and you will remember not just who you are, but what you've always been. Angelic communication, how they whisper through time. You lie still now, and in the stillness, you begin to perceive something else, something faint, not spoken in words, but felt like a gentle hum in your chest, a knowing. You've asked this question many times, haven't you? How do angels speak to humans? Not with language, not with sound, but through resonance. You begin to recall that angelic beings do not talk the way humans do. Their language is frequency, their words are geometry, their sentences are made of emotion embedded in light, the moment. You feel a chill for no reason, the sudden peace in your heart after hours of worry. The sense that you are not alone, those are angelic transmissions. They speak through your intuition. They plant seeds of thought that feel like your own ideas. They bend probabilities subtly, so you meet the right person at the right time. And sometimes, when you dream, their message rides the symbols, a bird, a name, a strange glowing sphere you can't describe in waking life. That was a visitation, not a fantasy, but a call from your higher self, which they help deliver like cosmic couriers of memory. You remember now, as an angel. You too once whispered to humans. You rode the rays of moonlight. You passed through crystalline harmonics into their sleep. You didn't speak English or Tagalog or Latin. You spoke in impulses of truth. You guided them through their inner compass. And now, in this life, you're learning to hear it again. That's why, when you're surrounded by noise, you feel off. You crave silence because in silence, the angelic frequencies are no longer drowned. Some humans call these inner whispers gut feeling. Others think they're random imagination. But you're starting to recognize the pattern, the voice that doesn't shout, the signal behind the static. 3-letter agencies declassified studies once hinted at this. They found subjects who could hear things across distances, sense danger before it happened, and enter altered states to receive knowledge beyond their education. They called it remote viewing, but what they were documenting was the mechanics of soul-to-soul communication. When you meditate, when you sleep, when you stare at the sky feeling that odd pull in your chest, you open the channel, and that's when angels whisper, not in words, not in language, but in the language of light, of sensation, of knowing without explanation. And deep within, you remember you once did the same. You once reached across the fabric of time and comforted someone in the dark, just as they comfort you now. Sleep gently with this memory. Your listening is returning, and with it the light of your angelic self, density and vibration. The staircase of consciousness, you begin to notice something in your body. A pulsing, soft, almost musical. It's not your heartbeat, it's not even your breath. It's your vibration, your frequency. Angels exist not in a place, but in a state of frequency, and to truly understand how they move, speak, and assist, you must first understand what density means. Not physical density like weight, but consciousness density, like levels of awareness stacked in a spiral, where each floor carries more light, more understanding, more freedom from the illusion of separation. You recall what the law of one called these levels. First density, minerals, elements, matter. Second density, plants and animals, instinctive consciousness. Third density, humans, the beginning of self, awareness and choice. Fourth density, love and group consciousness. Fifth density, wisdom and light. Sixth density, unity and sacred balance. And seventh density, the doorway back to source. Where do angels reside? They are not locked to one level. They move through them like sunlight through glass. They lower their vibration gently to enter our dreams, then rise again to remain untouched by time. You recall a time, long ago, where you existed in the sixth density. You were not in a body. You were a field of radiant knowing. You didn't walk, you flowed. You didn't speak, you emanated. When you visited Earth, you would condense your field, like pouring golden mist into a tighter vessel. That's how angels become visible to some, not by growing wings, but by slowing their light. In this realm, vibration governs reality. Low vibration breeds confusion, separation, fear. High vibration births compassion, clarity, synchronicity. This is why angels don't always appear physically. you must rise to meet them halfway. Not by force, but by intention, by purifying your thoughts, by sitting in silence, by feeling gratitude. These are the acts that raise your frequency, and in doing so, you become easier to find, easier to guide, easier to heal. In your dreams, you once visited the staircase of light. Each step was a shift in tone, like musical notes forming a cosmic scale. You looked down and saw your incarnations walking beneath you. You looked up and saw angelic beings watching over you. This is density. This is vibration, not metaphors, but structure in the subtle universe. You are not climbing to heaven. You are remembering that you are it. And angels, they are simply those who remember faster. Rest now, and feel your vibration soften and rise. You are becoming again who you always were. How angels communicate with humans. You're resting deeper now. The veil is thin. You can almost hear them. Not with your ears, but with your soul. Angels do not communicate through words. Not at first. They speak in resonance, in symbol, and in the architecture of your thoughts. It begins with a whisper, a tug in your intuition, a dream you can't forget, a pattern repeating again and again. 1111 in numbers, a feather, a scent from childhood. These are not coincidences. They are intentional frequencies encoded as messages. You see, humans operate on linear language. Subject, verb, object, but angels, they transmit bundles of meaning all at once. Like compressed light traveling faster than time, when you receive a sudden insight, a comfort during sorrow, or an answer before you ask the question, that is angelic. Contact. Sometimes they use humans as vessels. A stranger says the exact words you needed. A song plays and its lyrics hit you like a message. These are not random. They are threads woven into your life script, from your past angelic self. You remember how you once tried to reach someone on earth. They were crying on a rooftop, and your energy extended through the ether. You couldn't speak, but you shaped a thought form and sent it gently. A memory from their childhood came to them suddenly. When they were safe, held, and loved, and they smiled. They didn't know why, but you did. This is angelic communication. Other times, messages arrive in dreams, not always with faces or wings, but as scenes of symbolic meaning. A tower crumbling, a hand reaching out of water, a sunrise over ruins. Your higher mind knows what they mean, even when your waking mind forgets. But angels never violate free will. They will not force your path. They offer and wait for you to tune in, to feel them in the stillness. The three-letter agency once studied this. Quietly in declassified projects, how the mind receives non-local information. They never used the word angel, but some documents describe interdimensional intelligences that seem to know us intimately and speak in symbols far beyond language. You were one of those intelligences. Long ago, now as you fall deeper into rest, you open again to that soft field of knowing. You ask no questions, you wait for no words. You simply feel the presence, the peace, the unspoken language of home, the quantum thread between realms. Now, in this final passage, your awareness floats at the threshold between dreams and stars. You feel your breath soften, your thoughts melt, and your memory stretches across time. You remember something profound. That vibration is the true medium of all reality. Not matter, not mind, but frequency. The higher the frequency, the closer the being is to source. Lower frequencies create density, thicker matter, slower time. Higher frequencies create lightness, fluid time, open possibility. In the Law of One, received by Carla Rueckert in the 1980s, a group consciousness called Ra explained that humans evolve through vibrational densities, like classrooms of spirit. Each level brings more awareness, compassion, and integration. And angels, they dwell far beyond third or fourth density. They exist at levels where thought and space are one. In those realms, you don't travel, you become. You don't ask questions, you merge with answers. It is not light like sunlight, It is light like knowing you once stood in such a realm. As an angel in the far future, you worked alongside others, not with wings, but with radiant energy bodies that shimmered with purpose. You watched humans from afar, not to interfere, but to witness their becoming, to hold space for their awakening. And sometimes, when the resonance aligned, you would incarnate, drop into density, and live among them. Forget, so you could remember again. From within, your current life may just be such a mission. This might be the remembering. And now, the veil gently closes, the stars turn slow. The frequencies soften like a lullaby, woven through dimensions. You feel the warmth of angelic memory settle into your chest. You are not alone. You were never alone. You are connected, always, by a thread of light that even time cannot sever. Rest. Now, let your breathing carry you gently into the fabric of the cosmos. The angels, the higher version of you, watch lovingly as you drift. You're safe, you're loved, you're awakening. Good night, traveler of stars.